Hello, once again, my beautiful audience, and welcome to another episode of Pop Talk. I'm your host, Cody MacDonald, and today I'm joined with, hey, this is actually a first. I never had family members on this show before. It's always been friends. So this is quite nice. I got my lovely sister, Josslyn, and her lovely fiance, Andrew.
Hi.
How you guys doing?
Hello, we're good. How's it going, Cody?
Oh, I'm alright. As good as I can be under all the circumstances going on in the world right now.
Fair enough.
Yep.
How are you guys doing?
Yeah, you know, life.
Oh, pretty good.
Life.
Yeah.
Just got through the holiday season, so it's good now.
Actually, it's funny. At the time of this recording, it'll be like released in March, so we're like
Really
we're early birdies right now, which is nice. But even as we're home, just doing whatever, there's a lot of time to game.
Absolutely.
And that's basically what our conversation is about today.
You know it.
Video games. I don't really talk that much video games on this show. I'm not too much of a gamer. I've definitely gotten more into games since I've started to be with Veronica, but I do occasionally enjoy like the good old platformers. I love the platformer genre.
Ah, yes.
Me too.
Any game where you're running, you're jumping, and you have to land on something.
And constantly.
But it comes with a side effect. Like you have to land on that platform, or else your controller goes through your TV out of rage. Ugh, it's the worst.
I feel like that's the only game that I know how to play. Like Andrew's more of a gamer than me, but platformer games, that's what I'm familiar with.
Yeah, it's like the base. It's like the base of video games. Platforms.
Yeah, like that's basically like goes back to all like the 80s games that like were getting really big. Like Nintendo was really pumping that kind of style out, and then it just yeah. So yeah, why don't we jump right into it? Joss, kick us off. What are ones that you grew up with that we love?
Well, like I mentioned, I wasn't a big gamer, so my selection that I'm familiar with is kind of small, but I started off with Super Mario Bros., like the original from, I think it was like 83. Of course, I was horrible at it, but I played with my dad, and that's kind of where I got introduced, and then actually a little later on down the road, once I met you, that we started playing, I think it was like Super Mario's World, and yeah, that was pretty fun. Of course, I was no good at that either. Felt like I died more often than jumping onto that finishing pole. But yeah, that's kind of where I started. But the one I'm most familiar with, I'd say, is Sly Cooper, the Thievius Raccoonus. That was on PlayStation 2, and I could probably still play that game with my eyes closed and have it finished in like 2 hours if I had my hands, if I could get it.
Yeah, Yumi and Alana played Sly Cooper all the time growing up, and that brings me back. Of just this raccoon that's a thief trying to steal back all the pages of his ancestors' moves and techniques of just being like a super thief, and there's like 5 bad guys that you have to beat in it.
Yeah, so basically the plot for that one is it's this little raccoon, and he comes from a long line of, I guess, vigilantes, other raccoons that steal from other villains. And on the day this kid was supposed to inherit his book, a gang busted in and like killed his parents and ransacked everything and stole all the pages of the Thievius Raccoonus. And then all 5 of them split across like the furthest ends of the world, and he got put in an orphan because they were trying to like stop this line of thieves. And basically the video game is about how he meets 2 friends, and he is on a mission to avenge his family and to, of course, get those pages back. And it's a pretty good game. Like, it's a stealth platformer game. Of course, it wasn't super easy at first, but it was pretty fun. Like, there was 5 different villains you had to beat, and then that final one. And of course, because I was a teenage girl, I had a little bit of interest in the romantic tension between Carmelita Fox and Sly Cooper.
Oh yes, yeah.
Finally, I don't want to spoil it, but at the end of the game, there may or may not have been a kiss. That was pretty exciting. But yeah, so basically that's what it's about. It's this little raccoon, and he goes around beating villains, and one by one learning how to get those like skills that his family were supposed to teach him. And he's got little buddies that help him, and yeah, I don't know. It was my favorite.
The two friends, Bentley, who's the tortoise, who's like the math or kind of like
He's
tech
the geek,
whiz,
let's
the
be
super
honest.
nerd. Yeah, the super nerd one, and then Murray's the hippo, who's kind of like the klutzy kind of sidekick
the
that does
getaway
little
driver.
odd missions. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
they actually came out with a second and a third too. Of course, the first one
Yes.
I think is the best, but like in the second game, you can actually play as Murray, the hippo, or Bentley, the tortoise. And then in the third game, the only thing I really liked about that one was that you could actually, that's when they introduced the second player. So like my sister and I could play, or you and I could play, but still, the first one hands down is my favorite.
I didn't know they had multiplayer in the third game. I
Yeah,
actually never
I
played the
did.
third one.
What console
That's
did that
funny,
one come
wow.
out on? Because that was
I was
probably...
PlayStation 2 still.
Okay, so...
Yeah,
Yeah.
they upgraded them onto 3. That's actually the copies that I have. That just the the original trilogy upgraded on PlayStation 3 with like better graphics.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't made it that far to the third game. I've obviously played the first game to death with you guys growing up. I always come in and out on playing the second game, Band of Thieves. I actually think that one's a better game in hindsight.
You know
I
what?
think
It actually is.
they took what's better. They took what's the best aspects of the first game, but they kind of just like upped it a little bit more with like, you know, the pit pocketing in the second
That was
game and
cool.
like
Yeah.
like that's really fun. Like knowing how to be really sneaky,
Super
because that's what
stealthy.
the whole game. Yeah, like that the stealth aspect of it is what really holds up in it. The only problem with these games is that it gets a little repetitive with the gameplay, where it's like once you go to the villain's map, it's just basically find the clues, you know, get the keys, fight them, and then that's kind of it. So it's just kind of like rinse,
Yeah.
wash, repeat kind of thing.
The cool thing, though, that it did have to offer was, like, once you had beat each level, you could always return back to each, I don't know what you want to call them, layers, where each bad, like the villain, whether it was in Wales or Utah with the, with that dog. There was Hades with Miss Voodoo Ruby.
Oh
the
yes,
Panda Bear
Mugshot
from
was the
China. Yeah, that
Mugshot was the
So-
Mugshot. It was like the Texas kind of ranch, kind of desert world. Yeah.
So you could always go back, and even though you had finished a level, then they had like secret little bottles hidden, and then you could only learn that new skill once the level was completely completed. So even though you had beat it, you could still go back, kind of like in Crash, how you can go back and collect relics. In this one, you could kind of go back and collect more skills. So yeah, it did get repetitive, but it did have that to offer. Like you could still go back and replay it and get something more out of that level.
Yeah.
Replayability
And just the
is
whole
important.
style of the game too, where it's sort of like a throwback to 1940s detective mystery kind of movies.
Yeah, it actually was kind of like a little short film too. Like not the whole thing, of course, but in between, I don't know if you want to call it like loading scenes or whatever.
Cutscenes.
But cutscenes, thank you. Yeah, it was kind of like a little short film, and that's something that I liked about it too.
Yeah, there's supposed to be kind of a nod to like old film noirs.
Yeah, like what?
Or
Yeah,
something
I
like
think
that.
that's what Cody was mentioning about. But yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. Film noir.
It's definitely out of like the ones that like the colorful kind of 2D platformer or 3D platformers. Sorry, this one kind of falls just a tiny bit short. It's still definitely a game I'll play, the first one especially, and a bits of the second one that I'll come back to once in a while, of like getting like a nice kick of both nostalgia but also kind of being sneaky. But it does fall short, but that's not even like a low bar that it's setting at all, because it is a very solid game. Just a little kiddie at times, but it definitely
But whatever.
has like a nice sense of humor about itself. The thing I always find funny about it is that anytime Bentley tells you what to do, I think he overly tells you what to do, where it's like he'll literally say, Sly, all you need to
Overexplains,
do
mansplains.
all you need to do is jump and press the X button. Oh, okay, I need to jump and press the X button. Got it. It's like our character is literally saying the button that we need to press. It's kind of funny.
I think that's
Yeah,
why
those
it,
those are good
it
ones.
was so easy. So
Yeah,
so
they're
you actually have all of the games?
Yeah, I have. Well, I know that they made one for they made a singular game for PlayStation 3 before, maybe even PlayStation 4. I have the original 3 on PlayStation 3 where they're all upgraded.
Well, I'll have to
Sometimes
come
they have
over and
that.
visit and play.
Well, yeah. Hello.
Because Andrew's been trying
Yeah.
to get it for me, but we have PlayStation 4, and just I don't have
It's behind a
access to
paywall
it.
with PlayStation.
You might find it on the PlayStation Store.
It's on. It's through like a subscription service on the PlayStation. You can't get it, but you have to once again pay monthly to access this library of games.
Gotcha.
That's like all
Oh,
the
okay,
classic
okay.
PlayStation games. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I figured this out actually with PlayStation. You need the PlayStation 2, 3, and 5, and you can play anything PlayStation because it's backwards 3 is backwards compatible for 1, and 5 is backwards compatible for 4. So you can play literally anything you want if you get 2, 3, and 5.
Yeah.
That's the key. So right now we have 2, 3, and 4, but Veronica and I will save our pennies and get a 5 one day. We'll see. All right, well, that's a good pick. Yeah, no, I was going to definitely get down to the Sly Cooper. What's one that you got, Andrew?
The one that I'm most familiar with is any of the 3 of the Crash Bandicoot series. I played almost too much of that when I was younger. When I had a PS1 back in before they made these the remakes, which were actually really good.
Yes, I played the remakes. That's
they're-
the first introduction to me. Yeah, is the remakes.
As soon as they announced that they were remastering Crash Bandicoot, I was like, oh hell yeah! Like they're great games, and they didn't change anything, so that was a big plus.
Yeah, I don't know when it came out, but Andrew had introduced me to that, and it showed that he had played it before and that I hadn't, because it took me a while to learn. Andrew probably enjoyed watching me fall off the platforms 1,000 times and crash my face into the ground, but I had someone to teach me, so he helped me.
It took me it took me a while. Oh yeah. You always have to show a newbie a game that you're really familiar with. It's always fun. The thing with Crash is that I didn't even know is that usually there's a double jump in platformers, but for this one it's like you have to press and hold X to get a better boost to jump over like pitfalls and all that.
Yeah, it was kind of. I think it was one of the platform style games that kind of changed some mechanics. It kind of added new core mechanics to the concept of platformers. It had like you hold your jump to get a higher jump. Eventually you got power-ups as you went through, but yeah, that was it made a few changes to the series.
Yeah. It's like apples, right? You collect apples, and
They are,
I think
they're called Wampa fruits.
Oh, right.
okay. They look like apples though.
Yes, believe me, I thought they were apples.
I own the upgraded, the remakes, and it's kind of a spoiler when you know the name of the second game when Cortex is supposedly comes back.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of Warped. Warped was kind of fun. You get to like choose characters and like I forget exactly what you did in that one.
Warped, I actually feel like I know best. I started with that one, and then I was like, hey, there's 2 games before this.
You play backwards.
Yeah, so I played a lot of Warped. I've always been the type to, like, if I really like a game, I try to complete it if possible, even as painstakingly as that might be sometimes. Warped is one of those ones I tried. I would never say 100% it, but I like to think I got pretty close.
Did you end up playing what's that one called? It's like the racing game.
Crash Team Racing?
Yeah, I heard there's like a really good cult following on that one.
Oh yeah, that was.
I love it.
Yeah, that was one of my all-time favorite games that I played. I was playing that around the same time I learned what Crash Bandicoot was. I also I was playing both in the original PlayStation, and then again I bought the remaster when it came out for PS4, and I got Josslyn to it, and she loved it too.
I'd like to think I'm pretty good at it, but again, Andrew's still better than me. Honestly, any video game that we play together.
To be fair, I have sometimes like 10 plus years of that game's experience on you, so that's not comparable.
I come in second, and that's all that matters, because I know I'll never come in first.
I played the first one a lot, and then we'll end up erasing the data and the memory on it that I'll have to start again. And it's like I haven't played a Crash game all the way through, but I played enough of the first one, a little bit of the second one, but I played Warp for a little bit, and I remember liking Warped a little bit more. It's funny, actually, the funny thing is the first time I played Crash, I remember this was kind of funny, was because the games are released by Naughty Dog, right? It was like one of the first games that they did. And I remember when Veronica and I were playing the Uncharted games, in the fourth one, A Thief's End, there's a spot right at the beginning of the game where Nathan Drake is playing the original PlayStation, and you're watching him play the original Crash Bandicoot game, and you're playing Crash, but as Nathan Drake in Uncharted playing that game.
Oh, that's funny.
And it was kind of... Because like Uncharted 4 was sort of like a title launch for PlayStation 4, but I think it was Naughty Dog's way of showing like, look how far our games have become, which was kind of funny. So technically that was the first time I played Crash, but without actually playing Crash. I played it through another character, which was kind of strange. I need to play a little bit more of them, so I'm very happy that you mentioned, because that really is like one of the first... I think that, and there's this one game called Croc. I don't know if you've ever played that on PlayStation 1.
That kind of sounds familiar, but I don't know.
I can't say I recognize what...
I never played it, but I always remember like there was TV spots during like old VHS movies, whatever, where it was for PlayStation 1. Okay. It was released through Fox Interactive. Yeah. Where I haven't heard good things about it. The camera is kind of jolty, and like it's very I know there's a term for it because I'm not a gamer, but it's very like you have to like go forward, and you can't really play around with like
you can't change.
Oh my god, how am I wording this? Exactly. Yeah, sorry. I can't change the camera angle. I always have to go forward or back, or it's really stilted that way. Yeah. But also, speaking of kind of like remastered games, because that's, I guess, like, because we both love the Crash games being rebooted, was Spyro the Dragon went through the same kind of makeover.
I never played Spyro too much. Like I played it a little bit on PlayStation with an old friend of mine, but I don't know. I didn't. I think I was too.
To say, like, honestly, let me just say now, I will not be part of this conversation. I am a weird person. I was born in the '90s, and I have never played Spyro, so I am so sorry to disappoint. But I don't have much to say. It's
another one. Well, has a huge cult following, and there's a lot of people that like admire the game to no end.
Well, here's the funny thing, guys, because literally last night was the very first time I ever put it on and played it. So I'm not familiar with it at all. That to me was another kind of. It's definitely a little bit more kiddie. It's way more fantasy driven.
Oh, yeah. We're all
not that there's a problem with that. Like literally the first level, we just have to like release all these dragons that are like frozen in like this like
stone or something.
Yeah, you have to release like 10 of them in order to move on to the next map, and I'm like, yeah, this is kind of fun, but it's kind of like lighthearted.
Yeah, for like your first, like for your first game, like if you're not familiar with, like, I guess it's kind of a good introductory video game, to be honest. Like it's very straightforward on what you have to do. A lot of the things that would be considered difficult are just like collections. Like there's a lot of collectibles in that game.
Yeah, like there's like gems and stones and all that you have to get.
Right.
I mean, the flight thing is kind of neat. I don't know, you kind of glide a little bit, but that's kind of a little bit more perfected in other games that we'll definitely touch upon.
Yeah, it was not at its best flying in this time.
Going back to what you said, Joss. Yes, Super Mario. I mean, we'd be crazy to not name drop that one. Yes, Super Mario World. I remember when Mom got us the or maybe I forget, it was just like a singular birthday present for me. I forget, but I had the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yeah.
And Super Mario World was one of the games that we played all the fucking time. I think that might quite possibly be in my top 3 favorite games of all time, because it is so fun. It is so colorful. It's so addicting. It has a very simple objective. It's just I think you do get Peach by the end. I can't remember I've never played it all the way through, but you do rescue like Yoshi's friends along the way within the castles. And fuck, is this a game that is just hard as fucking hell. And I've been playing it again for the past like 2 months. I borrowed the system from a buddy of mine. This fucking game gets under my skin. I haven't reached Bowser yet. I'm in the valley of Bowser. Like, I'm close. I'm very close. I'm about 80% done this game.
Some of those end game levels in like these classic platformers are insane.
It's literally just too much. And I have this way of platforming where it's like when I jump, I always have to flip back a bit before landing just so I know I get a soft landing. Yep. But in this game, I have to really keep my eyes peeled on all quadrants because there could be fucking bullet bills coming up my ass on either way. There could be like what I'm standing on is giving out. Oh, I have to jump onto something else, and there's a fucking turtle there. And just the second you see the screen freeze and you're dead, and then you just start floating down. Just instant rage. Just instant fucking rage. Like Veronica has seen Veronica's seen like a side of me that no one should see in terms of rage. It's pretty bad, actually.
Honestly, speaking of running and jumping, I'm pretty sure I gotta say at least half of the people that will listen to this, how many other people just run because you're like, I got this, it's Mario, it's super easy. You run, and then boom. You either run into something, or you fall off a cliff, or you fall into the lava. And every time, I have that urge to just run. Why don't I just take it slow and observe, like you said? Because then maybe I wouldn't lose all my lives right away, just within the first, not even 30 seconds of the game.
Honestly, it's not even just, like, part of it with games like that is just playing it so many times where you screw it up. And now you've got the entire level memorized because you died a billion times in the same pit of lava, like memorizing the game layouts and where enemies fly from
is helpful.
Like a big deal of it. Yeah.
That's how I got so good, because I died so many times.
There's tricks that I can do where it doesn't have to be game over each time, because in the second world there's like this hidden spot where it's literally called Secret World, where it's not even a level. You just click it, and then there's just like a few boxes with the question marks where it'll either give you health, it'll give you the flower, it'll give you the feather, and it'll give you unlimited lives if you haven't already got Yoshi already. But you can just keep clicking that, go to the right side of the screen, it'll fade out, it'll go back to the main menu. You just keep clicking it again. You can put it on mute if it starts to get kind of annoying hearing the same music, but you just keep doing that for about an hour, and you have like 100 lives. And the trick is that in between, like, say, ghost castles and regular castles, you need to, like, make sure that you save your progress, because if you get caught in a game over in between that, then all your progress is gone. But the trick is to go back to the second world with that ghost castle that's right next to this secret world. All you need to do is just play that easy thing, and it just automatically saves your progress all the time. So I've figured out ways. I mean, if you don't mind traveling all the way across, like, 7 maps just to do that every time, you'll be good. You won't rage you won't lose your mind if you just end up dying in the middle. There's tricks, there's ways. I've figured out this game, but not quite, because I'm 80% there. It
all comes down to how much cheese you're willing to put on the game you're playing.
Exactly. Yeah, and honestly, I have like 3 different ways that I'm like 3 different parts in the map where I'm equally stuck on, like legitimately stuck. And I've looked up tutorials, I've looked up ways to cheat this, and you have to be a fucking masterclass at the feather. The feather is really handy and really great on terms of flying, but there's a way that you have to like keep yourself up in the air, and you have to like maneuver yourself to like get past other platforms that would have been either the wall or past, I don't know how this is fucking possible, but past the bar with the gate at the end, the home base. You have to go underneath that to get to another one. I'm like, I don't fucking know how to do this. That's crazy. It's too much. It's too much. Wait, do you guys have any like Nintendo systems?
Actually, yeah. I recently so I've been talking about it for like years since the Switch came out. And I caved this Christmas and bought myself a Nintendo Switch.
Ah, okay. Is that the only one you have?
It's the only one I have right now, yeah. Eventually, it'd be cool to start collecting, like, the retro consoles, like the SNES, 64,
yeah. Well, they have those, those like, what do you call them? They're basically like a tinier version of where they have like 100 games built into this tiny little version of the original.
Even I think I was looking at the Nintendo store on the Switch, and I think a lot of the classic games can be played like digital download. So like I might even just be able to play most of them on the Switch itself, really.
Yeah. Do you know if there's any like newer platform games for the Switch?
Like just in general, newer platform games?
Like, because the one I wanted to bring up was, do they have like new Super Mario Brothers for the Switch, or is that just exclusively the Wii?
No, there's there's always new Super Mario games coming out. I don't know if they made one for the Switch like they have with some of the older consoles, but yeah, like those ones can be played on the Switch, considering like a lot of the Nintendo games that are like originally handhelds played on like their 3DS or their Game Boy Advance type of thing. A lot of those are playable on the Switch.
Okay. Yeah, the reason why I asked is just because the only like platformer I ever played momentarily was the new Super Mario Brothers for the first Wii.
I love that one.
It's fun, and it's even like interesting to play with like more than one person, where you have to, because you can like bubble to like each other. You don't always have to get to the same platform, but then if you all bubble at the same time, it's game over, which can get kind of frustrating. I played that with Veronica and her sister. Yes, it's a friendship ender game. Exactly.
I can't tell you how many times I played that with Nicole and Erica, and like every day after school in high school. And yeah, I think a few times we would like throw stuff at each other because we wouldn't communicate. It's like, bubble, no, don't bubble. I told you not to bubble. And then, oh god, it would just start a war.
The same thing happened to Veronica and her sister and I, where we're just like raging. It's hard. It's hard. You have to be very communicative and very careful on who you're saying bubble to, and be like, you get to me, and like all that. Like but it's a nice upgrade too. Like when you compare that to like Super Mario World, and it's just come all the way. Like
it's like the same game, but it just brought in new features, new graphic designs. It was nostalgic, but I almost can't say nostalgic because like it's only, I don't know, it felt like 10 years later, but probably 20. But like it was a really good game, really fun.
Actually, Andrew, you just name dropped the Game Boy Advance. I got a little deep cut for you guys. Okay. I remember when we had, I think Josh, we all three of us had the Game Boy Advance, right?
We sure did.
Okay. I just thought I was the only one, or maybe one of you guys, and you guys shared. I can't remember. I have Rugrats Castle Capers for the Game Boy Advance. It was in hindsight, it's very typical platforming. Like I remember I played it a lot, and I looked up like gameplay of it recently, and like watching it and the music, it was like holy shit, like getting punched in the face with nostalgia. It is very typical. What's kind of neat is that like you're in a map, and it'll say you're playing as like, because it's based on the Nickelodeon show. It'll be like, if you're playing as Tommy, it'll be like, okay, now you need to find Chucky and Dill or Angelica in this level, or you only need to find one. And once you find like say the other baby or the two other babies, you guys can like kind of like get onto each other's shoulders and do like almost like a double jump onto other platforms, which is kind of neat. But I don't know if that's groundbreaking at all. And the only reason why I had it was just because I was a fan of Rugrats as a kid. But
you love
I still do. Well, no, who doesn't? The only thing about this game, it's not even the game itself. It's just really the Game Boy Advance. Is that fucking Game Boy is hard to see the screen.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell what the hell I was looking at half the time.
Before they had a backlight on it,
Oh, even that backlight. I remember just being in the back seat in like the car, and like that it's so bright. First of all, like if you're in the dark and you can barely see the screen itself, even when you adjust the setting. Luckily, like PSP and the Switch obviously fixed that up.
I like how the Game Boy SPs gave you the option to turn the backlight on or off, as if you would ever turn it off.
Yeah, why would you want to turn it off?
I guess if you were really going for like a blindfold speed run type of deal, but like really.
Do you guys have any other ones?
I'll start off by mentioning one, and Andrew will definitely be able to elaborate more on it. But this is a more recent one that I've started playing. I don't get much time to play video games, but whenever I do have time, Andrew usually has like a few picked out that he's like, you know what, I think you'll like this one. So I started playing one on his recommendation. It's called Hollow Knight.
Yep.
Yeah, Hollow Knight. It's
Hollow Knight. I don't think I heard of this one.
I don't know. Like I don't want to start off by saying it's cute, but it's cute.
It's newer in a sense. It came out in 2016, I think. It's by a little indie company called was it Cherry? Something Cherry?
I don't know, but when I started playing it, luckily I had
Team
Andrew
Cherry.
with me.
Team Cherry, yeah.
Team Cherry?
Yeah, Team Cherry is a little indie company out of Australia.
Oh. Well, I'll say this. I'm happy that Andrew was sitting next to me while I was playing it because I felt like it gave me no direction at all. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? He's like, just keep walking. And then I would walk somewhere. I'm like, okay, now what am I supposed to do? And he's like, oh, maybe, why don't you try doing this? So the first little bit, it didn't really give me much direction. But then once you kind of move a little further along the game, you start to come across characters and they kind of give you a map. I mean, once you have a map, that helps a lot because how do you go through that without having a map? You would know if you played the game.
Yeah.
But and then you kind of come across other characters like little boss fights, bigger boss fights, and then you kind of learn new skills along the way, kind of like how I mentioned in Sly Cooper, but I'm sure that's how it goes in most games. I just don't play very many games. But yeah, Andrew could definitely fill you in more because I'm only on I don't know how far I am into it, but I know I'm not very far.
Hollow Knight's a game that it went out of my radar for a long time. And then I just happened to be on a PlayStation Store, and it was free for 1 month because they do that. They put 2 games free every month. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to give this a try. And I've been in love with the game ever since.
So it's like a side-scroller.
Yeah, it's a side-scrolling platform. So, you only move in between, rooms left to right. But it's definitely also falls into the category of, Castlevania-style platformers. Which essentially, just as it sounds, it's heavily influenced by the Castlevania series. I don't know if you, Cody, are familiar with that.
I know Castlevania 2 is one of the worst games ever made.
Yeah, that we don't talk about the second one.
That's all I know.
The original one, it was also one of those games that just kind of set a precedent in one, its difficulty, and two, the replayability. You think you beat the game, spoiler for Castlevania, but after you beat the game, you go through the whole castle backwards, and it's supposed to be harder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's basically inverted filter on the game.
And it seems here from these photos that there's a lot of boss battles, or that's kind of the style of the game. It is going back to Hollow Knight. It's there's a ton of bosses. You have the smaller bosses that are that might give you a power up. You have the bigger narrative bosses that further storyline. There's plenty that you never even you might not fight unless you find the secret path. Mm-hmm. It's also a game where if you just played it through on your own, you went in completely blind, you probably miss a good 60% of the game. Oh yeah. Even if you completed the entire story, there's a good 60+% of the game that you'd be missing out on if you never touched it again. Oh wow.
So it's just a lot of secrets, and I'm kind of a lore junkie when it comes to video games, and this game is full of it, full to the brink.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Like I said, I'm happy that I have Andrew usually by me. First time I met my big boss, and it might not even be a big boss, that's just how far along I am. He's like, oh, you might want to charge up. You might want to get more health. You might want to do this. And I'm like, why? Why are you telling me to walk through this? Why are you telling me to walk through here?
Because if anyone who has played video games in general, if you've played any platformers, or if you've played something what's it called, Dark Souls, you know a boss room when you see it, right? Mm-hmm. You walk up to
I have a buddy who plays Dark Souls and all that kind of stuff, and I'm just I'm not into that stuff, but it has a very distinct look and style to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's you have to be okay with putting yourself through some level of pain playing these games. Josslyn's big boss fight that she was just talking about is this one of the two first bosses that you probably fight. It's called Gru's Mother, which is just this big. The whole world of the game and Hollow Knight, everything you face is like a bug, and you're in like an underground world. So this thing's kind of like a flying. It's kind of hard to describe. It's big and it's kind of got like a snout like an anteater, and it pounds up and down from ceiling to floor.
It's like a flying larvae.
Yeah, it's kind of like a larva with wings.
I was talking about Robin, or what's her name?
Oh,
the girl.
Shoot, what's her name? Crap, there's a whole game coming out based on her.
Well, she's like a friend of his, isn't she?
Yeah, it's the sequel, Silk Song. Hornet.
Oh,
That's
Hornet. I don't know why I always think her name's Robin. Anyways, yeah, so I got to the second big boss, and that was significantly harder. Like, I just remember having to play a few times. Like any boss fight, you learn, okay, watch out for that. Okay, don't do that. Wait for them to do this. There's, like, little music cues that kind of help you judge when they're going in for the attack versus when it's safe to make an attack. But, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and for anyone who's like me, who loves a good game soundtrack, if you don't know Hollow Knight soundtrack yet, even if you don't play the game, you'd enjoy the soundtrack. It's really good, like very good instrumentals. I love it.
I love listening to like the occasional like good track in a game.
Yeah, like honestly, if you want later, Cody, I'll send you a link of just one of the boss fight soundtracks, and like you don't even have to play the game to get the feel from it.
Sweet. So is it for the Switch or is it for PlayStation?
It's on
4?
It originally came out on PC, but it's for every console. You can get it for any and all of them.
Ah, thank you for the recommendation. I should check that one out, actually.
Yeah, definitely do. And if you do, let me know. We'll chat about it.
All right. I got a recommendation for you guys, because the photos of this game, Hollow Knight, reminded me of... have you guys ever played the Little Nightmare games?
I have not played it, but I've looked into it. Are they actually good?
Yeah, it's a very simple sort of strategy, like kind of like knowing you, Josh, and your love for Tim Burton. I think you'll definitely love the atmosphere and the style of these games. It's very gothic. It's very like kind of weird and gross at times with like the big bosses that you kind of have to get away from. It's just you play like this innocent little girl in the yellow jacket trying to like get from one place to the other, try to like use little items in the room, and it's just you trying to make your way from left to right. I remember I liked the first game a little bit more. I had trouble playing the second game, right? Because the second one just came out like fairly recently.
Right.
I wasn't a big fan of the controls in the second game. They were kind of weird, and kind of made the character feel a little bit more wobbly than it should have been, but definitely fun. There's definitely some creep. I think the game is scary. They're very creepy and they're very atmospheric, and they're almost like they kind of go into like the puzzle kind of way, like kind of genre. Like there's a lot of points where you have to figure out like what to do and like how to,
cool.
Yeah, you have to use the room and your surroundings to your advantage, just to escape from
that platform element to it, right?
Yeah. It definitely is a platformer, but it has sort of like a puzzly sort of aspect to it, which is really fun. And as well as Veronica really likes the puzzle games. We actually just breezed through Portal 2 in like 3 days recently.
I want to play Portal 2 with Joss so bad. It's a game that I played so much of.
So fun. It's so fun. Oh my god.
With the right friends, it can be a blast. With the wrong ones, it can be a
so
nightmare.
Good. Oh well, I was that nightmare of a friend then, because Veronica's like way steps ahead of me trying to figure out shit, and I'm like, oh god. I get like should be like shoot the orange portal over there, and I shoot the blue one. I'm like, oh fuck, sorry, dyslexic. But the Little Nightmares, I do recommend that. But there's also another game that was made by the developers. It's a very small indie game called Inside. Same idea, same kind of like.
Yeah, I actually
this is definitely like a
downloaded it
side
on
scroller.
PlayStation, so I haven't tried it yet.
Yep.
But it's
I recommend it.
Yeah.
It's a game that it breathes. It's a very short game, but it has that kind of similar idea of like just getting like a side scroller of getting from one place to the next with like creepy atmosphere.
like I said, I haven't played Inside yet, but like I like how it looks. Like it's all silhouette, right? Like you're basically seeing the silhouette of everything, and it's supposed to be like this little guy, and then I just remember from like the trailer of the game, there's a spider.
Yep.
Silhouette of a spider creeping up on you.
That's creepy.
That's the thing. You'll get into the atmosphere really well, and you'll be like, "Oh, that's kind of neat." But then occasionally you'll be like, "Oh, what the fuck? This is so weird and gross. What's going on?" Like,
Atmosphere.
and it kind of keeps you on your toes a bit. Yeah. The atmosphere is like number one for these ones. I recommend those ones to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say more. I don't know. They're both very puzzly, but for Inside, it is literally just left or right. You can't go forward or back,
right,
like in Little Nightmares. If you want just like a nice warm up to what these developers do, I'd say maybe start off with Inside and then jump to the Little Nightmare games.
Okay. Cool.
But knowing the style, I definitely think Joss will dig the style. It's very just gross Tim Burton-y, I would say. Well, there are 2 Juggernaut series that we'd be fools not to dive into. Well, actually, first, before I get into them, because I don't know what else you guys have to bring up, I'd like to know, do you guys, because I haven't played much of DK before, but any DK fans here?
Oh yeah, I played plenty of DK on the 64.
Just so is it Donkey Kong Country?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Country. Yeah.
I don't have much experience with that. Like I don't know, maybe 6 years ago, I played with my best friend because I guess her and her brother played it a lot, kind of like how you and I played games a lot together. And she's like, "What do you mean you've never played this before?" And she started singing the intro song, and I'm like, I have no idea what this is. I feel like I've been totally sheltered. Yeah, totally sheltered. I feel like I missed out on so much. So I only have a little bit of experience with that. I think there's a reoccurring theme here. I suck at video games. I just kept dying, and she had to show me the ropes. That's okay. I still enjoy the games. That's the thing. Like, I know I'm not good at them. That's probably why Andrew likes to watch me play, because it's just hilarious. But I don't know. I enjoy video games, even though I'm not that good at them.
Yeah, I'm a little bit the same way. Like, I sort of try to figure it out no matter how many times I die. Like, and it sucks when you die. It kind of takes me out. Mm-hmm. But the more I keep playing, the more I'll kind of breeze through some parts. Be like, oh, cool. Did I just do that by accident? Oh well, I just keep playing.
Right.
Like, but DK, I remember playing very, very momentarily. It was a Donkey Kong Country game where I was actually getting a little confused on when it was going back and forth between DK and Diddy Kong. I was like, wait, who the fuck am I? Oh my god, wait, I'm dead. I'm now this person. Yeah. Wait, what's going on? Like, I was like so confused a bit. But gamers out there are probably like, oh god, they're probably cringing hearing me. Yeah, like I'm a lot of cringe when it comes to games. I'm just not a big gamer, but I try to play as much as I can.
I stepped up my video gaming just because like that's something Andrew's really good at, something he's really passionate about. It's a hobby of his, so I mean, like, the least I can do is try, because it's not like a totally new world to me. I did play when I was little, but there's some people that are really good at video games, and there's some that are not.
I've tested the waters with the games that Joss might be interested in. First-person shooters are we stay away from those with her.
For me, it's like
because I'm so good at Halo.
You were so mad.
Oh, Halo! I actually played that for the first time, kind of last summer, I think. Yeah, I think that might have been the first time I played Halo. Right? Oh, just because I was playing at a buddy's house of mine. Yeah, like it was fun. I just remember playing the first level when we're in the space station, and then we go down to Earth, and then that was it. I just wanted to play a little bit of it.
I didn't even get that far. I'd get annihilated all the time. But Andrew doesn't take it too easy on me, because like if he did, then I would never learn. So
I just don't go easy on people who are learning new games. That's not how I was taught. I had a friend who when he taught me games, it was always like, if you want to be good at this game, you're gonna have to learn to beat me on your own. I'll show you how to play the game, but like, I'm not gonna give you a win. So I've strangely stuck with that mantra most of my life.
Yeah.
You know, I know you said that you were going to talk about 2 more, but I think there's one more worth bringing up for at least you and I, Cody. I don't know if you've ever played, Andrew, but and I think it's a platforming game. Jak and Daxter.
Jak and Daxter.
Yes, here we go. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with
yeah.
it, but, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes. Jak and Daxter. Oh, you're not familiar with this at all?
No, I've never. It's one I've never played, but yeah.
I think it's from the same. I think it was produced by the same company as Sly Cooper. Was it Sucker Puncher?
No. It was actually Naughty Dog. It was the same one as Crash.
Okay. I thought for some reason.
Crash.
Anyways.
Oh, I forgot when we mentioned Crash. I didn't name drop. Ooh, my God. Yeah, sorry, I just had to get that out of the way.
Totally understandable. Yeah,
Jak and Daxter. Oh my God, the first game, the Precursor Legacy.
Fun.
You, me, and Alana, we played this game to fucking death. This is one of the I remember
game that she was really good at, actually.
Yeah, because I remember our first like console as a family was the PlayStation 2,
and all 3 of us got one game.
Yeah, the 3 games. I had Simpsons Road Rage.
Oh my God,
you had the original Spider-Man, like 2002 Spider-Man, the first Tobey Maguire one.
Yep.
Yeah, and then Alana had Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy.
Yeah.
And I played the death out of all 3 of those, but like Jak and Daxter has grown to be like my top 3, 2, 1 favorite games of all time. Same. Like I can play this game blindfolded. Mm-hmm. This is a revolutionary game. Surprisingly, Andrew, you will get a kick out of this, is that it's kind of open world. It's an open world platformer where you play as this very stoic, very cardboard cutout of a bland character named Jack, and his annoying best friend Daxter, who just doesn't shut the fuck up. It's like a great contrast, and the whole world is divided up by like these 3 types of like energy called eco.
Okay.
There's the blue eco, which makes you like jump higher and run faster. There's the yellow eco that makes you shoot like fireballs. The red eco makes you powerful, and then there's the dark eco, which is like really bad for you.
Isn't that what
and for some reason I was about to say, some reason it's bad for us, Jack, it kills us, but for some reason when Daxter it falls into this vat of dark eco, he comes out as like a ferret or like a marmot or something, some weird animal, and the whole game is you trying to go up north to try to find this guy named Gull who can transform him back. And on the way you get your typical power-ups, your collectibles, like the precursor orbs. Mm-hmm. The power cells are like the most important things because that gets you from like one map to the other.
Yeah.
But what's so neat is that when you beat the whole game, is that you can like just progress in the story, but you can always go back and get like all the power cells that you missed out on. Mm-hmm. And what surprised me is that there's no loading screen in the game. Once you play it, I've done it where I can go from like the ending Citadel all the way to like home base without dying once, and there's no loading screen. Yeah. I was like, holy shit, this is way more wider in scope and open world than I was giving it credit for growing up. It was kind of crazy. But you want to talk about like atmosphere and design, and just it takes like Japanese culture but mixing it with like fantasy, and it's like it's so comforting, and it's almost like too nostalgic at this point, but I fucking adore that first game so much. Sorry, Joss, I know you want to chime in. Yeah, sorry, I kind of took it over, but good. Joss, yeah, go ahead.
Well, honestly, I was gonna be surprised if you hadn't mentioned it, so I had to say something.
Yeah,
that I don't know what part of the game it is, but there's a spider cave.
Spider cave, yes.
God, I could not play that through if literally your life depended on it. Okay. I terrified of spiders, and even though it's a video game, that part got me. Like, you'd have spiders dropping down out of sacks, you'd be jumping out of like trying to avoid the dark eco, and then cool, you make it on this one little platform, it's gonna break, so then you have to jump, and then you jump and just a sack full of spiders bust open, and you've got nowhere left to go except for to whack all of these little Black Widow looking spiders. And yeah, that was probably the creepiest part. But yeah, there was so many different...
There's even a part where you're in the dark during a spider nest where you have to keep pushing, you have to keep hitting these crystals that glow in the dark, kind of like a glow stick, and you have to get to the next one to turn it on before that one goes out, or else you're just in the middle of the dark with all these fucking spiders coming at you.
And even though you couldn't see the spiders, you could hear them. It made like a little like noise.
Yeah,
it was so freaky. Yeah, I'm getting like almost goosebumps just thinking about it.
I don't have I think the hardest part in the game for me, Josh, is, do you remember that farmer that kept telling you to like shoot all these like rats that were coming towards his tomatoes?
Yeah, why? Oh wait, farmer or like the hillbilly?
He was like a farmer hillbilly guy, yeah.
Yeah, in a swamp, yeah. Get them.
Yeah. The part that it's also a part that made me laugh the most. Daxter's like, why the hell would these rats want to get near you anyways? It looks like there's like you need a bathtub or something like that. And the guy's like, what's a bathtub?
Yeah, the characters were smartasses. At least Daxter was.
And Daxter. Oh fuck! Every time you die, Daxter like looks at you like it's like a point of view. He looks right in the camera and he insults you.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I know
he goes,
suck. Just bring me back.
He's like, I'm going to say something really teary at the funeral, like, how am I going to get changed back now?
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
fuck this guy. I'm like, why are we helping him out? Like, he's always insulting us. He's like, well, better you than me. I'm like, oh, fuck this.
I think the hardest part, I definitely don't remember what part it was, but it was when you were in more of like a mechanical looking realm, and like you had to jump on these like floating platforms, and if you missed it you fell into a black hole, and then you had to try and rescue one of the oh god, I really should have reviewed this a bit, but that part, it was the hardest part, and it almost sounded like there was a Pink Floyd song playing in the background, and it was just eerie and creepy, and it was...
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's the Citadel. It's the Citadel at the end where you have to... Oh, yeah. Always have to do this roll jump thing to land on these platforms. Like, it gets a lot more crazier.
It's so hard, because, you'd have to, like, perfectly time when to do your roll jump, and then you would overdo it, because then the platform started moving back towards you. Yeah, it took a lot of skill.
My favorite part of the game was the precursor city, like... that's underneath the water, where everything has like this kind of green glow to everything. It's so pretty to look at, and it's so fun to do like the sliding stuff, and like oh god, I can go on for hours about this fucking game. It's amazing. However, the other games, Jak 2 and 3, I'm not quite big of a fan of at all.
I never played the third. I played the second because we had high hopes that the second would be amazing. But I don't remember it, so that wasn't. without spoiling it, I don't want to spoil it for anybody listening or even Andrew. It just goes in a drastically different direction, style-wise and story-wise. That was a bit just. I guess it was just off-putting to me. Was it darker?
When it's a lot darker. Yeah. It's kind of like I compared it to like the second game was kind of like it took this Blade Runner sort of aesthetic, and then the third game was like a Mad Max aesthetic in the desert.
Yeah, I don't know.
It went in weird. It went in weird directions. Like I don't know. The sequels I'm not too big on, and especially the second one. The fucking second one is so hard to play. Like the flying cars are ridiculously hard to maneuver. I quit. I only got like a third of the game in. I was like, I'm done. Fuck this. Like
I just know
I'd rather just play the first one.
We were playing those around the same time that I was that we were playing Sly Cooper. So because the second Sly Cooper was so amazing, like the first one's nostalgic, but like you said, Cody, the second one is probably, if you look it up, probably the better game. So we just had high hopes, assuming that the second Jak and Daxter was going to be better. No. Honestly, I think we rented it because you could still rent video games, and we gave it a shot, and I was like, I don't like this. I don't even remember playing it a second time. Sorry. No offense.
It did go off with some spin-offs too. Like there was the combat racing, which was basically like all the racing that you did in the third game in the desert that everyone apparently loved. It was like I guess it was kind of like the Crash racing game.
Honestly, everybody loves any kind of racing game. Super Mario, I can't. Mario Kart. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Mario Kart.
You know,
the
that
Crash.
one racing game.
I love any kind of racing game. Those I was actually pretty good at. That's like the only thing.
Yeah, like Mario Kart and yeah, of course, those are all good. It also had another spin-off in for the PSP. It was just Daxter. He had his own game, and I never played that actually. It's only exclusively a PSP game, which sounds fun. Like, as much as I hate the little twerp, I would like to play his game. No, Andrew, please, for the love of God, on the PlayStation Store, please buy. It's always on sale. Please buy the first Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, and we will talk extensively about that. Like,
oh, that's available. I will help pay for that. I want to play.
Oh, it can't be expensive.
Do it. It's so great. When you're on the Sentinel Beach, just listen to that score and that atmosphere. It's so soothing. Oh, love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Honestly, I've got all this free time coming up, and I'm like, I kind of want to play a bunch of video games. But no, I have stuff to do. But it's so tempting to just dive back into video games.
And the other juggernaut that I'll say is, I'm curious. I don't know if we ever played this actually, Joss, growing up. Ratchet and Clank.
No. I've definitely heard of it, but no, I'm sorry to disappoint.
Have you played this, Andrew?
No,
or?
that's one I haven't played either. Like, I know a bit about it, and I know of it, but yeah, I've never actually played Ratchet and Clank.
It's definitely a big franchise. They made so many games now. Like, I've only played just the original 3 games, which are Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, and Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. They have like very funny names on it. They made tons of them. They made like Tools of Destruction, Crack in Time was the latest one. Like there's so many. Deadlocked is another one. Like, I've only played just the original 3. And funny enough, last year, like during quarantine, when obviously we had nothing to do, I beat all 3 of these games back to back. It was the first time in a trilogy of platformers I actually went through with it, and it's same thing like with Super Mario Brothers. So fun, so addicting, but it gets fucking hard, these games. You'd think at first, if you play them, like, oh, it's just, it's a buddy, it's like a buddy thing. You play as like a rat and who meets like this little like droid or this little robot guy, and they go around the galaxy to different platforms. They collect tools and get gadgets and get all these these guns and all that. Sorry, like there's a lot to it. Where there's actually, if you're a fan of lore, Andrew, I think there's a lot of lore and a lot of what's the word, propaganda satire in this game with Captain Quark, where he's like a fraud of a sort of hero to the galaxy, and they always play like these little like commercials or these propaganda stuff that is kind of a play on that. These games are fun when you get to like figure out like what guns do I have to use at this particular time, and also it has all the tricks in the book. Like, it's very consistently fun. Like, as long as you're enjoying yourself, you'll won't think it's repetitive. But if you're like kind of like on it, then you might think the gameplay is pretty repetitive when you look at all 3 games, because they are kind of the same deal where you just go from planet to planet, but it's a lot of fun. I don't know. I recommend it. I own those, and those are like a second favorite under Jak and Daxter, like a very close second, like in terms of platformers. But I don't think anything will reach the iconicness of Jak and Daxter, the first game. But I highly recommend those ones. They're very fun. Do you guys have any other ones? Because I have the last one to go off on, which is a definitely a fitting one to go off on.
I was just looking at a couple to jog my memory. I didn't play some of these too much, but like, I guess honorable mentions to games like Busby and Earthworm Jim.
Busby?
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard this one.
It was I think it was like an attempt by Sega or someone to make a new big main character for a series, but it fell flat.
Oh, okay.
It fell flat so hard because the game was not. It was big when Busby itself came out around the same. It tried catching wind on the tailwind of games like Super Mario Brothers and Sonic, and this whole trend of anthropomorphic creatures that talked.
Yeah, because Jak and Daxter is the same way, where he's like, I guess a rat, or not even a rat. I should probably look it up so I don't make a dumb mistake.
I just want to say he's like a weasel, but I don't think that's it. Just his character is very weaselly.
Bubsy. Yeah, I don't think I've heard of this one actually. You just said one that I guess it's a juggernaut, but I don't want to leave it out. But like Sonic, I don't know. I've never had that much experience with Sonic because I was never a Sega guy.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that one too, but I too don't have very much to comment on it. I just know that was a big one that lots of people were playing when we were younger. But
yeah, some of the Sonic games I played were the newer ones, but like, yeah, that's definitely one of those classics. And I put Sonic as a classic game right next to something like Mega Man.
Mega Man.
Yeah, I've never played Sonic, but I thought that Tails was cute so much that I actually named one of my cats after Tails. Never played the game, but I felt confident naming my cat Tails.
Aww. Before you get to that second game that you said, Andrew, I looked it up. He's actually a species that exists inside these series of games. It's not actually an animal, but it's an anthropomorphic species known as the Lombax.
The Lombax. What's that? What's that a split of? That's got to be a split of something.
I don't even know. It's what was the other one that you said?
Earthworm Jim.
Earthworm Jim. Yeah. Sorry. What's that one?
That was another attempt at a platformer. I think it got a better run than Bubsy did. It's got a bit of a cult following behind it. I think you're literally just a worm fighting through space and fighting aliens, and I don't know too much about it. It was another one of the Sega Genesis games where they tried capitalizing on the boom of the platform games in their late 90s.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I've heard of that one. Because, again, I'm not a big Sega guy, so there's like a giant load of games that I'm completely unfamiliar with on that platform.
Honestly, most of these games, like, the only reason I know of them is because I know a lot about video games in general. So there's a lot of these games where I've never played, but, like, I know a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess that takes us to the last, but definitely not least, a game to sort of end this off on, and it's more of a perfect celebration because it just recently won Game of the Year.
Oh, what is that?
It Takes Two.
Yes, that's I think between you guys and a couple other friends of ours have recommended it, and it's definitely one that I'm going to be getting for Jocelyn to try.
Is that the one you were telling me I should try?
Guys,
they were telling
need to play it. Yes, this is no, because you both of you, it's made for couples. That's the big talk of the town with these games, is that like it's a multiplayer platformer and it's made for couples because the whole story is that you're playing this couple named Cody and May. Actually, I thought that was nice to hear my name finally in something. It's kind of a very rare thing to hear it sometimes. Cody Banks and Cody whatever, like it's not really common. Cody and May are like going through like a little bit of a divorce, like kind of marital issues, and their daughter Rose, she kind of wishes that they can mend their relationship back together, and she has these two little rag dolls, and both Cody and May have like this out of body experience where their souls go inside of these rag dolls, and they wake up and they're like, whoa, why are we rag dolls? What's going on? And everything is like kind of bigger, and you're kind of like a toy bouncing around in like different like areas, and that's what it's so nice about this game, is that it's a celebration of all the themed maps that you go through in platformers, whether it's like it's a clockwork type of map, or it's a snowy map, if it's a forest map, or if it's what have you. Like it's all the maps all together, like a celebration. And I'm playing it like, there's parts where I'm like, oh, I'm gliding down rails. Oh, cool, I did this in Ratchet and Clank. Like, there's nothing groundbreaking about it in terms of like techniques. But what really is so neat about it is that you have a companion, and it's really rare to have that where you both get to work together. There's parts where like you get to like do different activities and different assignments.
Oh, that's cool.
And you find like mini games on the way. Like their mini games aren't essential, but when you find them all, it's always fun to go back to and just like do almost like a little tournament. Like Veronica and I did like a tournament where we played like all 20 or 25 of the mini games, and we just kind of wrote down who won which, like, and
that's cool.
It's a very like sweet game. The story is very nice, and I'm very happy that it won Game of the Year. And it was honestly one of the funnest games I've ever, probably the funnest game I've ever played with Veronica. Like it surprised me. I was so, and what was so nice about it is that like we beat the game and we played it all over again, but like we swapped characters. I played as May and she played as Cody.
Oh, nice. It's always good to find a cooperative game that doesn't cause you to hate the other person, i.e. Portal 2.
Yes, yeah, exactly. This game you're actually like working together because the whole theme of the game is about working together and mending your relationship. But yeah, guys, okay, scrap everything that I say recommend. Like, this game you have to play.
Okay.
You have to play this. As a couple, you have to play it.
I'll be tracking it to see when it comes on sale on the Switch for sure.
On the store.
Yeah.
Just make sure you have 2 controllers and you are all good.
Oh yeah.
Well, we got that covered.
Well, guys, thank you so much for running and jumping and landing with me tonight. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, it was a good time.
I'm first family to be on your show. On your podcast, sorry.
Show, podcast, that's all the same. As a going out question.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, of course, anytime. As a one last little question, what game are you guys currently playing right now that like you want to give a shout out to? Like, what game are you really digging right now?
Do you want to go first or?
Probably not Joss.
Right. Well, I could go first because there's literally only 2 that I'm playing right now. But I like fear of stealing it from Andrew. But
there's 2 games that I've been playing. One I've been playing just because I bought the Switch recently. I got the remaster of Pokemon Diamond, so I've been playing that.
Oh yeah.
And then besides that, I'm forever a slave to the Diablo franchise and Diablo 2. Which I play on my PlayStation.
Are you familiar with that?
Diablo. I've never played it, but that's what all the people were playing back in 2007, circa 2007 or 8. That was the game.
This game's 25 plus years old.
Oh, okay. It dates even further back. Okay, never mind. Neat. All right.
But yeah, for me, I was gonna say either Hollow Knight, but I've recently kind of put that on hold because, as Andrew mentioned, for Christmas this year, he got the Switch, and immediately I was like, oh my god, can you get me a Mario game? And he's like, okay, yeah, we'll get there, but first I want you to try this, because we already play Pokemon Go, but this is a game that he used to play, and he's like, it's remastered, you should really give it a try. And he just like set the whole game up and put the controller in my hand and was like, okay, have at it. And I really like it because I didn't play much of it on like Game Boy when I was younger. I don't have that nostalgic feel, so I don't know what to compare it to, but I really, really like this game. It's fun, and it's nice having my little team of 6 Pokemon. I mean, when you play Pokemon Go, you don't give a shit about the starter Pokemon or the little ones. Like, couldn't be bothered.
It's definitely a different game, especially since Josslyn's first experience or exposure to Pokemon was Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
And I've been playing since I was probably 10 years old. So in general, I'm a huge fan of it, and it's all nostalgia for me.
But for me, it's all new, and I really like the game. Like I said, I don't know what to compare it to, but I really like it.
Would you go on the railroad tracks to get a Pokemon?
To save a Pokemon? Or to get...
No, because like Wait. Am I thinking of the right Pokemon game? What's the Pokemon, the mobile one, where like people would like be like, "Oh, there's a Pokemon over here. I have to like go." It's Pokemon Go, right?
That's Pokemon Go. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, would you go on a railroad track just to get it, or in a tunnel just to get one?
If you read the little thing when you open up the game, it says to be aware of your surroundings. So no, I was not one of those dumbasses that would walk into a pond with my phone.
Yeah, many people were not aware of their surroundings.
No, so
that was the talk of the town.
On a railroad track to get a Pokemon. However, one thing I did consider, there was a myth, I don't think it's true, but like if you're trying to catch dark or ghost Pokemon, to go into a cemetery, and I feel like they finally had to make an announcement about that, like, players, stop going into cemeteries. No, you will not get ghost Pokemon, because like you don't want little kids going in cemeteries between 8 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing, having young kids, just groups of people in the middle of a graveyard at night. There was no doubtly plenty of police calls.
But yeah, so
my God.
That's my game pick for the ones that I'm currently playing. It's Pokemon, what is it? Diamond?
Brilliant Diamond, yeah.
Brilliant Diamond. That's what I'm playing.
Cool. I literally right before this recording, like an hour or so right before, I played Mirror's Edge for the first time.
Okay.
It's kind of a parkour, first person kind of, game where
it's been on my list.
the controls definitely need some adjustment. I'm just kind of like, oh, you don't press X to jump. This is very strange to me. You have to do L1. Okay. It needs some adjusting, but it has a cool kind of like style and world to it. It's the very first time I played it, and I heard really good things about it. I've just been trying to branch off in the PlayStation world here and there. That's why we played Portal. Yeah, I heard great things about Portal 2. We breezed through that recently. No, I'd say Portal. Play some Portal. Be challenging and.
How did you play Portal? Did you play on PC or?
Well, it was actually the second game. I just bought it on Amazon. It was just for PlayStation 3.
Okay. Yeah, because I checked the PlayStation 4 store and I couldn't find it, so I was just curious.
Yeah, that's why I had to buy the physical copy, because it wasn't on the store, sadly.
Maybe it'll be on
But
Switch.
even though that we beat the game, we need to get a second controller, because there is a co-op version of the game afterwards that I'm like, oh fuck, Veronica, and I need to play this like ASAP. Yeah. Well, guys, yes, thank you so much again. And anytime you guys want to be on here, I'll definitely keep you guys on the call. And everybody listening, please subscribe to So to Speak. We got some other content on there. I can't think of any other fitting thing to end this off with. Then let's go!